we are going to have a couple of topics to kind of discuss first, and share some things with you guys, and then we are going to go into the Q&A, where you guys can ask us anything. Dun, dun, dun. And feel free to start putting questions in the comments anytime. If you've been with us before, you know that the questions the comments kind of jump around on us on our side for some reason. But we tried to get to everything. So feel free to put any questions that you have in there. All right. People are hopping on. It's got to be a way to see who is where. All right. Excellent. So we just wanted to say hi. Susie. Yes, we are going to actually talk a little bit about
VO Atlanta was relaxing.
Yeah, there is a lot. I guess just in case there's anybody on here who doesn't know who we are, my name is Kelly Moshinsky. I am the owner and head of casting here at the Voicecaster. And this is...
I'm Catherine Horan. I'm senior casting director.
Yep. So we are the main casting team here at Voicecaster. So, you know, as you see things come through from us, it's from me and Catherine, primarily. And, you know, it's, if you've taken workshops with us and all of that, you have definitely
interacted with both of us.
Yes, you've definitely talked to us. So yeah, we wanted to just kind of start off a little bit differently than we've done on the last couple, where we just kind of talk about a couple of different topics, and then we will answer all of your questions. So feel free to put any questions that you have in the comments. You know what sometimes helps is if you put a couple of question marks in front of your comment, then we know it's a question and we can jump to it, just because sometimes I know you guys comment amongst each other, which is totally fine, but we want to just make sure that we can see everybody's questions. So, all right. So as Susie brought up, we were at VO Atlanta last weekend.
No, a week and a half ago.
A week and a half ago. Time flies. And we flew in on Thursday, and it was a busy, over 48 hours, I guess. But yeah. We got there just in time for the welcoming ceremony, the keynote speaker, all of that. And then we had 2 full days of panels and networking, chatting with people. Yep. And then we left early on Sunday. So time change and traveling all at once. So that was interesting. Yeah. But yeah, we got to do a lot of cool things at VO Atlanta.
Yeah, we had a table in the expo hall and got to meet a lot of familiar faces or people who we knew their names but not their faces. And just some brand new people too, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we see a lot of names and hear a lot of voices, but don't often get to meet people or see their faces. So like that was huge, because it was like I was constantly looking at name tags, like, who are you? Who are you? There were a couple times I was just like listening to people talk, and I'm like, I know that voice. So that's always fun. But getting to meet people, it's always that personal connection. And as casting directors, like that's huge for us. You know, our clients come to us for those personal connections. So it's always nice to actually get to meet people, and get to chat with them for a minute. So, yeah.
Yeah, we got to see a handful of really cool panels. They had a lot of neat speakers, a lot of great topics. So definitely recommend going if you haven't been.
Yeah.
Definitely worth checking out for sure.
Yeah, especially if you're newer to VO, it's a place to. It can be overwhelming. I talked to a couple people who it was their first time going and they're newer to voiceover, and they were like, it's a lot of information, and you're going to hear contradicting information. You're going to get that anywhere, though, with any training that you have. It's like you're going to have one coach say one thing, then you're going to hear somebody else say the opposite. You know, it's you take what works for you, leave the rest. You are going to pick and choose. And you're getting different perspectives, you know, like Catherine said, like we got to see a casting panel. We got to see
an agent panel.
Yep. Commercials, video games. Honestly, one of my favorite was a BIPOC panel. And like, it was amazing just to hear all these different perspectives. So it was amazing. You know, it's like we
A lot
we
of
got
good
a lot from
information, great networking opportunities.
Yes.
Basically, any aspect of voiceover you're interested in, they've got a panel on that. You know, lots of audiobooks, lots of video games, commercials, all of that is there. So definitely a good resource.
Yeah. Plus, they have the extra stuff. They had like breakout sessions. We didn't go to any of those. And X sessions and things like that. So yeah, there was a lot of information there. So I think the most surprising thing for us was the fact that, because we had a table in the exhibit hall because we were one of their sponsors. We were a silver sponsor this year. And we had a table in the exhibit hall, and it was interesting because most of the tables were trying to sell something, and we're not trying to sell anything. So it was a little bit, it wasn't the setup that we thought we were getting, and so that was also, it kind of threw us off a little bit. But you know, we're at a table in between things like, you know, Voice 1, 2, 3, and like other people selling equipment and studios and like demo production, like all these things that, you know, they're selling. So it's like our first interaction.
I think we're the only table that wasn't selling.
Yeah. And our first interaction with somebody was literally, he came up to the table and he's like, "Give me your pitch. What are you trying to sell? Sell me." And I was like, "No." We're casting directors. We don't charge things, you know, for you to be on our roster to get you auditions. Right. And I think that was one of the most surprising things for people, is the fact that, you know, they would ask us like, "How much is it to be on your website for auditions?" And it's like nothing. We're old school. we're old school casting, which is so funny because it's like, you know, it's like when I started it, the online stuff wasn't really a thing. And so now it's just so prominent that everybody expects, like, if you want auditions, you either have to sign up on a website and pay, or have an agent, and that's not true. There are a lot of casting directors out there who are still doing things the old school way. I don't know how many times I said we're old school casting directors at VO Atlanta for people who were newer and just didn't know who we were, didn't know who Voicecaster was. So, you know, that's definitely something to, you know, to be aware of, especially if you're newer to voiceover. I know some of you have been around for a while. But if you're newer, it really is one of those things where it's like, do your research, know the pay-to-play websites, they're called pay-to-play websites, and know the actual casting directors. The casting directors are the ones that you want to reach out to, be on their roster, get to know them. They're the ones who are going to give you direct opportunities, and you don't have to pay for that. You know, it's like we were literally there for the networking. So it was a little bit of a shock at first. We were like, wait a second, should we be selling something? And then I was like, I don't know, what can somebody do at our table? And then we're like, okay, well, I guess they could just like sign up if they're interested in our workout group.
Sign up for our mailing list.
So it was very, very fascinating, actually. Definitely a different experience because, you know, it's like the pay-to-plays are such a big thing in the industry now. And I could go on all day about all of that. There was an interesting...
We went to a panel on that.
There was an interesting panel on that. But yeah, it's, you know, knowing the difference and kind of navigating that, so you know who you're talking to. And I don't blame anybody who came up to us and was like, you know, give me your pitch. What are you trying to sell? What do you know, how much do you charge? They didn't know. And that's one of the reasons that we want to do this, is to educate people and to connect with people. That's the only reason we're here live with you right now. That's what we're all about. We are all about the human connection. So, and that also, actually, online casting. Good segue into another thing that has been coming up a lot that I just wanted to like discuss real quick is live training, like actually taking classes live, getting feedback, you know, that kind of thing, versus all of the online training that's out there. I don't know about y'all, but in my Facebook feed is
lots of
filled with so many voiceover academies, voiceover training, buy my 100 modules for this, you know, all of that. Fine, totally fine. And depending on who is offering them, you know, there could be some really good resources. But don't limit yourself just to that. Again, this is for newer people, really. You know, you don't limit yourself to that. Me and Catherine were just talking before this. We're like, gosh, like what if somebody just getting into voiceover has only done online, like pre-recorded training, so not live, not actually getting any feedback or direction. What if they actually like book something and then they go into a session and they're like, wait, I have to get directed. Somebody's going to direct me.
Like, yeah, how do you adjust? How do you know what you're doing right or wrong? Like, yeah, you need that feedback in some capacity at some point. You can't just do it all.
Yeah, so don't forget about
video.
Live training.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the online resources can be great as well. You know, and especially training with various people.
And getting different viewpoints.
Yeah. It's like work with casting directors, but also work with other actors, work with producers if you have that opportunity, you know. Agents, there are a lot of, you know, one-off like agent workshops out there. And, you know, so work with different people. Everybody's going to have different perspectives. And it kind of goes back to what we were saying with VO Atlanta, where it's like you're going to hear contradicting things. People are going to have different opinions. Casting directors work different ways, you know.
People come to things from different, you know, we see things differently than, you know, an agent does, sees things differently than an actor does. So.
Yeah, and people come from different backgrounds. People have different experiences. People get into voiceover differently. We all have different stories, you know. It's like I always tell people I just kind of fell into it, you know. It's not something that I was actively pursuing to be where I am today, but there's no place else I'd rather be. So it's interesting, you know, kind of people's journeys. And yeah, it's there's a lot of different options out there. We get asked a lot about, you know, do you have pre-recorded things? It doesn't work, you know, your live classes, live meaning, you know, most of them are virtual, but the live classes don't work with my schedule, or, you know, it's like we've had people taking classes in the middle of the night to make it work with their schedule. So we are going to be doing some pre-recorded classes as well. Those are going to be available soon on our website. Still working out all of the final details, but we are going to be offering things like that for people who can't do the live classes. But I can't stress enough, do live classes, work with people, do workout groups, you know, things like that, so that you actually get that direction, get that feedback
live in the moment.
It's invaluable. I also want to mention really quick here that I have a voiceover essentials workshop coming up Wednesday, April 3rd. And I do have a few seats left available in that. It's a 6-week class, live on Zoom. Speaking of live classes, it's normally $525. This class it used to be our level 3 class. We've just kind of reworked things. So if you've already taken level 3, you've already taken this class. You can ignore me. But it's essentially, you know, it's going over all of the different categories of voiceover. So we cover commercial, animation, narration, industrial narration, audiobook narration, video games, promo, phone on hold messaging, legal and disclaimer, kind of all of the areas, so that you can just kind of have an idea of what you want to, what you want to pursue, how to approach things as you get these different auditions, things like that. So it's a very comprehensive, fast-moving 6 weeks, that's for sure, because we cover multiple things every week. That class is normally $525, but if you are listening to this, either now live or after, I do have a promo code for you to take $50 off. And it's just AMA 50, so AMA 50. I'm going to throw it in the chat real quick so that you have it, in case that's something that you're interested in. And like I said, it's on Wednesdays, 5 to 8.
I believe so.
I think.
And you can sign up on our website. That's
all
something brand new.
Yes.
You can now sign up for classes on our website, voicecaster.com. Just go to the workshops tab, and you'll see a whole list of all the classes we offer. And on each one, it's got a little button. You can click to sign up there.
Yep. Yeah, we made it super easy for you to sign up for classes and use the promo codes. We've been trying to do more with promo codes, you know, just making things affordable for everybody. Because again, I think it's all about the connection, and the live training is huge. So we want to help people with that and not hinder. But if you have any questions about it, obviously feel free to email us. You can also throw it in the chat. We're here to answer questions. So fancy idea. All right. Excellent. So
I saw Susie asked a question earlier.
Great.
There
Let's
she is.
see. Yep. All right. What's better to start with, VO Atlanta or SOVAS?
Whatever's easiest for you to get to, I guess.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like they're all gonna have similar things as far as like having different panels. Like the That's Voiceover Expo. I know there's the One Voice conference in Dallas in August, I think. You know, there are a few different conferences. I know VO Atlanta is the biggest voiceover conference. From what I've heard, I don't.
We haven't been to the
quote
other.
Me on that. But it's advertised as the biggest, so I'm gonna assume
it was pretty big.
Yeah. 1,000 attendees, and yeah. So you know, VO Atlanta, if you can get to Atlanta, is a great option. We haven't been to the others yet. So you know, once we go, we'll give you the full report.
I saw was Herb. Just a lot of nice comments.
Yeah. Okay. Herb, I was recently asked to submit a narration. What should I have sent in? It depends on what kind of narration it was, Herb. It's, you know, because there's industrial narration, there's audiobook narration, there's in-show narration. You know, there's different types of narration. So, you know, it just kind of depends on, you know, what they're looking for. If you're, you know, if they ask for a narration sample, again, it just kind of depends on, you know, are you submitting to an audiobook publisher? That's all they said. Well, they didn't give you a whole lot to go on. Then I would almost go just more of, you know, that storyteller narration. You know, narration in a general sense would be just kind of more straightforward, matter of fact, you know, delivering the information, not in a cold, detached way, but it's not necessarily going to be as conversational as, you know, a lot of commercials and stuff are. There we go. I keep saying I need to hook up a mouse to this. I really should. All right, Nora. Nora. Watch the last one. After live happened, I normalized auditions to negative 3 dB before sending, and now I'm wondering if that's not what you want. Oh, negative 3 is okay. I usually say, like, don't go past, like, negative 6. Between, like, negative 6 and negative 18 is usually ideal. My preference, if I'm going to get really picky, is around negative 6 to, like, negative 12. Negative 3 is okay as long as there's no, you know, really when it comes to levels, because people are probably like, what are you talking about? Depending on your recording program, you know, it might say along the side what level it's playing back at. And so, yeah, so between negative 6 and negative 18 is typically a safe place to be loud enough for us to hear, but not so loud that it's peaking or distorting. But if you're at negative 3, I've listened to many of your auditions. There's no issue. So what you're doing is fine. Don't stress about it. Is there a speed dating with agents thing at VO? There is not. There is not. I think that's specific to the other one. There was no script, so should I have read something, Herb? Yes. Yeah, I mean, I assume. What were they asking for?
For us to know if we don't see what they sent you.
Yeah, I don't quite know what they were asking for.
Did they want a demo?
I mean, yeah, it kind of sounds like they wanted some sort of narration demo, which could just be reading a few excerpts of a book or something. You know, just kind of depending on what they need to show that. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Did I miss any questions?
That's all that we had so far.
Nora,
Yeah.
just saw you're the main sponsor. Yeah, yep, we're the gold sponsor for the Voiceover Resource Guide. You'll see us all over their website. It was funny because when we collaborated on that last year in 2023, is when we started, and it was actually, the comment was, it's the oldest casting house in the country is teaming up with the oldest voiceover publication. So that's kind of cool to kind of historical things coming together, which is always fun. Yeah, Amy. Yeah, we're all about connecting with people. That's what we're here for. That's why we're doing these. That's why we're going places. All right.
Any other questions anybody has about anything? Doesn't have to be what we've talked about so far. Could be anything voiceover in general.
Anything at all. We are always open. Well, I'm gonna talk for a quick second then about auditions really quick, because this is something that I feel like I've seen a lot just over the last week. It's just I can't stress this enough. I think I say it in every video, but please read the emails. Please look at the instructions. When sometimes I'm so specific, on one that I just submitted before coming on here, I literally wrote it out. I need one take of this script, followed by one take of this script, followed by one take. I literally wrote that out. And so many people just put it in whatever order they wanted to, and it's I don't have time to edit that.
That was one of the biggest takeaways from VO Atlanta too, from the casting director panel and the agent panel we went to, all of them over and over and over. People don't follow directions. And that's the quickest way to get people not submitted, not on your bad list, things like that. That's the biggest pet peeve people had, is following directions.
Yep, you don't want to be...
Don't be that person.
Don't be on the... don't be on the S list. Don't be a PETA. All right. What panels did you attend at VO Atlanta? We saw casting director one.
An agent panel.
An agent panel.
The BIPOC panel.
Yep.
The online casting panel.
Yep. Which was very,
interesting.
Very heated. The tension in that room was incredible. We saw a commercial panel.
That's right.
I was talking specifically about commercials. We saw...
There was a video game
There
one
was a
we went
video
to.
game one, yep. Yep.
That may have been about it.
I think those were the ones that we primarily saw, yeah. And all of them were good. There were takeaways from all of them. It's always fascinating, kind of, sitting there listening, and it's we've done panels before. We've done so many interviews and things like that. And so it's interesting because it's I know how I would answer some of these questions. Some of them, it aligned perfectly. I was yeah, I agree with that. And other ones were I don't know about interesting perspective. But again, that goes back to what we were saying about you're not always going to agree with everybody, and
different people work in different ways.
That's okay. Yeah. Susie, what's the new pro class I saw a teaser about? Yes, it actually just filled up, but we do, if you go on our website, you can sign up on the wait list. And yeah, it's a 4-week class for pros, or people who have had extensive training, but people who know what they're doing. So essentially it's a 4-week intensive where I'm just gonna be working people on commercial copy. It's gonna be a lot about script analysis, how to approach things differently, how to come up with, multiple takes. We're gonna do some stuff about self-recording. We are going self-directing. We are going to talk about the casting process. We are going to also just, kind of take a deep dive into the different areas of commercials. Because a lot of times, people tend to fall into, I call it their default read. Everybody kind of has a default read, right? It's you listen, you see a name and you know what they're going to do. So trying to get people out of that, and just exploring other ideas and being more specific. and making choices and not just going on autopilot when you pick up a script and hop into the booth to record it. So, yeah, it's going to be 4 weeks of lots of work. Good questions. And yes, that one is full. I will be offering another one very, very soon as well. I know it's in high demand. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes. So Nora, I've witnessed more VO advice videos promoting quantity over quality lately, and I feel like that works for some, but I think for folks like myself, I need to take the extra few minutes to reread and avoid missing detailed instructions. I need that extra few minutes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. You definitely take that time. It's not quantity over quality all the way. It's I mean, even kind of on that topic of quality versus quantity, it's like I would rather hear fewer people reading on our projects that are really right for it than having the hundreds, sometimes 1,200 reading on it, when there are names, like I can literally look through the list of names of who submitted.
They're too old. They're too young.
And know instantly. We know instantly. We look at a name and we're like, no, not right. So it's, as an actor, I think it's important to know what you do well, and also, think about that, like quality over quantity. Because there is a lot about like, oh, it's a numbers game. Like actors audition for everything that you can. But don't.
Don't waste your time or our time if you're really not right for it.
Yeah. And I mean, especially with a casting house, it's like you're already gonna. Yeah, we're like, if you're right for it, we know right away, and you're more likely gonna get sent in that top 10, 20, 30. Versus just, it's no longer a numbers game if you're just auditioning for every single thing you possibly can. And I know people do it on the pay-to-play websites and stuff too, or at least they used to. I don't know how they all work anymore, but it really is one of those things where everybody's like, it's a numbers game. You just gotta keep submitting, and it's like, yeah, but if you're not right for it, don't do it.
Like, I had a guy come in the other day for an audition for a video game, and they were looking for British accents, and he's like, that's really not my strong suit, so is it okay if I pass on it? I was like, of course. Yes. Yeah. I'm sure they'd much rather not have you read on it than to do a really bad accent that they're not going to consider anyway.
And actors are scared that
they're afraid to say, they're afraid to say no to their agent.
You can turn something down.
If you're
in fact,
not comfortable, it's okay to pass. And if you're sick, don't read on the audition, because you're not going to sound the same. When they book you for the job, they're like, oh, why doesn't he have that sexy frog voice anymore? Oh, because the cold is gone.
Sexy frog voice. I wish we could cast for more sexy frog voices. So yeah, it's like, you have to look at it. If you're getting an audition from us, we obviously are sending it to you. If you're getting it directly from us, not through an agent. Some agents will just send to everybody. So know that if you get a script that has our letterhead, that's on our logo and everything, it's not necessarily a special request unless they say it is. Because some people are like, oh, well, like I audition for you all the time, and it's like, cool. Sometimes that might get to us, sometimes it might not, because also you're competing within your agency first, so they might send it to 40 people and then only send 20 to us, or depending on how many we want to hear. So
Margot, when we are sending direct auditions to you directly, yes, we are selective. We don't just blanketly send it to everybody on the roster. We do pick and choose who we think is going to be appropriate for it.
Yep, we're very specific in who we send to. We have a lot of people, on our roster, either whether that's people who are unrepresented, and
people that did classes with us.
Yeah, and that was an interesting thing at VO Atlanta too, is how many casting directors aren't working with talent who don't have representation.
Yeah,
there were a couple of casting
quite a few
casting
so they
houses
just do
out there.
Agents.
Yeah. And And like that's one of those things that we obviously disagree
ooh.
about because we're like,
I feel
no
like that really kind of
way.
limits. Yeah.
Like we love working with new voices and like, you know, it's like
and
if
clients like hearing new people too, and not just the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
20 people over and over again.
And if we hear potential, like
Oh, yeah.
I don't care whether an agent hears that potential in you or not. We
Right.
do.
Exactly. There's a lot of good people that don't have an agent. I mean, getting an agent is hard. So just because you don't have
Yeah.
one doesn't mean you're not any good.
Yeah, don't get discouraged by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like yes, it's going to open up other opportunities and things like that, but it's not the be all end all. You know, it's okay. Herb, what's a good way to follow up with CDs after submitting my reel if I don't have any work to bring? Yeah, that is a great question, Herb. So you can follow up anytime. You can even just say like hey, just wanted to say hi and see how you were. You know, would love to stay on your radar. Quick email like that is totally fine.
I also recommend when people do classes and things, anything to show that you're still out there learning, training, you know. An actor's job never ends, so you're always, you know, getting involved in stuff. Or, you know, if you're in a play, let people know, hey, I'm in this show. You know, just to show that you're out there.
Or directing it. I know you
right?
direct her.
Yeah. Any of that. Anything
So,
in the industry is cool.
Yep. You can find any of those little things to talk about. You also, you know, you don't have to have something to brag about every time. You don't have to have something to share. I know I get emails sometimes where it's like, hey, I just wanted to share my favorite recipe. And it's like, you could have just said hi. Like, thanks, sure. But you can just say hi. Don't feel like you have to. Yeah, you don't have to rack your brain to come up with something fun. And sometimes that stuff backfires too. Those of you who have taken my marketing and agent seminar, you know some of the things that we've gotten. I share some of
weird
the poor marketing choices.
I've gotten some odd things throughout the years.
Can't wait till the renovations are done. We might have to have like our fun wall again. We used to have a whole wall of, we had a mustache wall for a while. Fun little, long story short, we had a wall where it was like, if somebody sent us a postcard and the picture was vertical and it was a headshot of them, almost always, just based on the post office, a line went across their lip. So we had a mustache wall because every single one of these postcards ended up with a mustache. It was just a silly little thing. Nothing you can control as an actor. Don't stress about having a mustache. But it was just one of those silly little things that entertained
from the processing through the post office.
Yeah. All right. And
Jeff says, how quickly do you send auditions to the clients? As soon as you get them, or all in one group?
It depends. So that's a great question, Jeff. It depends on what the client wants. So like yesterday, we had a client who was like, oh, they changed the deadline. It was supposed to be today by noon. They changed the deadline. They needed it sooner. So we're like, okay. We'll try to let people know and we'll see what we can get. And then, you know, so it's like, so then I submit last night and then she came back and was like, oh, actually, we have until noon tomorrow, so you can send the rest tomorrow. So we kind of did it in two chunks. Now, there are other projects where it's like they want them to be submitted in chunks. You know, like submit us the first batch as soon as you can. Okay, great. And then there are other ones where it's like they have a deadline, so we wait until all of the auditions come in and we listen all at once. Sometimes it's not even just the client, sometimes it's our schedule. So it's like if we know like, okay, we're going to be tight on time hitting this deadline because of this and this and this, so let's listen to the first batch like the night before who's already submitted. Let's listen to those. So then when the rest of them come in the morning, we have fewer to sort through. So yeah, I mean, it kind of varies project to project and depending on our days, but overall, I would say submit as soon as you can, because you do want to be in the first batches listened to, because you know, essentially it's fewer that you're competing with. But then it's also like if I already have you in the folder of like, yes, this is a good read, let's submit, then other people who are submitting later have to either match that or be better.
Yeah.
So then you've also kind of set a bar. So then your chances of being submitted then are a lot higher. And that, I mean, that goes for anywhere, even through your agency. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Hopefully that answers that. Mustache wall, yes. Awesome. All right. Any other questions? Questions, comments, concerns? Anything else before we sign off for today? Hopefully, try to get, yes. Yeah, and Jeff, we're gonna as soon as renovations are done, we do want to start getting people back in the studio more as well, so that they can get that direction. First of all, we miss directing you, and we also miss the quality of the reads when we're getting to direct people as well. Everybody self-directing is a little bit different. Not necessarily a bad thing. But sometimes it's like, I wish it's too late because the deadline is approaching, but man, I wish I could have somebody, do one more take for me like this. But it is what it is. It's kind of the changing landscape of voiceover, but we'll all just adapt to it. All right. Any other questions? Well, feel free to always, reach out to us. I'm going to actually put together a Google form for submitting any questions that you have beforehand, so that we can, have any sort of discussion like that, especially if you can't make it live. So feel free to submit any questions. We'll make sure that we answer them on our next live. And then also, we always repost these so that you can watch them later on.
Yeah.
So, and we have them, we post them on, Facebook automatically shares it for us. And then we also post it on our YouTube channel. So you can always check it out there as well.
And Susie, how much notice do you need to rent your Source Connect studio? I mean, always, of course, the more notice, the better, just to ensure you get the time you want. Because we do book up, it just depends on the day. Every day is different. Some days we've got nothing going on, and if you needed a book that same day, no problem. Other days we might already have our space rented out. So it just depends. Of course, the more notice, the better. But most people, I mean, a lot of sessions book maybe just a day or two in advance. So, as long as we've got the availability, it's no problem. Just you can call us or email us, and we're happy to get you on the schedule. We can even, if there's a possibility of a session coming up, let's say next Wednesday at noon, and you just want to inquire about holding the time just so it doesn't go anywhere else. Mm-hmm. We're always happy to hold studio time for you, and then you can let us know, if the job books or if it releases. So. Yep. Always happy to do that for you too.
Yeah. And a lot of things book the day before. And if people, if two people want the same kind of time, then we just kind of, it obviously goes to whoever asked first. But then, we kind of.
Some sessions are flexible and we can move things, shift things an hour or so.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Awesome. And so many auditions don't use slates now. Yeah. Is that mostly the norm?
It just depends.
I think so. I feel like 9 times out of 10 now you're probably not slating. The reason that we are moving away from it is, one, people never learned how to slate. I always taught slating in all of my classes. I still teach slating in all of my classes. I make people slate every time they read for me, because it is something that when you slate, it can make or break an audition. I mean, it's your introduction, and it's like if you sound bored or you're questioning your name, those are my favorite. And it's like, Kelly Moshinsky? Like, do you know who you are? They just make me laugh, because it's like, no, it should be friendly, confident, with a smile, put a period at the end. Mm-hmm. It's a statement. You're introducing yourself. And so it is pretty normal now that you're not slating. And it depends on, who the casting director mm-hmm. is, depends on the production company sometimes. But we have been finding that for the most part, unless a client requests a slate, we usually don't have people slate anymore just because the slate's not doing them any favors.
But yeah, I agree with you, Nora. I feel like it's like some people will tell you exactly what they want, which is awesome. They'll specifically say no slate or please slate or slate at the end, and awesome, cool. But when they don't give you any direction either way, I know it's super confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So, they can't fault you either way. I kind of always go by, I'd rather have a slate and not need it than to need it and not have it. So they can never penalize you for doing it.
No.
But, also if they don't specify, they can't get mad at you for not having it either. So.
Yep. Yeah, and I know, like, there are a couple of agents out there who I know are like, if it doesn't say anything, then tail slate. So to be extra confusing,
right?
That's also a thing.
Just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, it sounds like. Nobody knows what's going on.
Nobody knows. The tail slate is also a decent option, though, because one, it's not the first thing that we're hearing, and two, if we need it to be the first thing that we hear, it's easy edit. Yeah. So, great question.
Yeah.
I wish we had concrete answers.
Yeah. That's one that you'll get a different answer from everyone.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's all about preference. And Nikki, love the Google form idea. Yeah. I think that's going to be just a better way for people to submit things. So I know not everybody can be live every time that we come on. We're trying to switch up the days and times. Keep an eye out on Facebook, too, because we're going to do I want to do a poll so that we can just kind of see, some preferred days and times that maybe work better for people.
Yeah, we haven't done a late afternoon one yet.
So, yeah.
Like at 4 o'clock or something.
And people are all over the place. So it's, like a late, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern might be great for people who can't make it during the day.
Right now.
So we're gonna kind of switch it up. I feel like if we keep it at the same time on the same day, once a month, it's probably, it takes a lot of people out of coming live if they want to, but the Google form at least allows us to get their questions and answer their questions, even if they can't hear live. So, yeah. Awesome. Any other final questions? Otherwise, we are going to sign off for the day, and we'll be back in April. I can't believe it's already March.
We're almost halfway through the year.
Oh my god. It just started, didn't it? All right. Well, then we are going to sign off for today, and we will get that poll posted on Facebook, and we will see you in April, or hopefully talk to you all before
exactly.
then.
We're always here.
As always, if you have not submitted to us, then make sure you send us your demo, casting@voicecaster.com. Don't forget about the promo code for the VO Essentials class coming up on April 3rd. And we have all kinds of other stuff. You can always check out our website for all of that. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.